the hypothesis that all the participants are new to semiotics, and that's why I'm beginning with the basics of the semiotic models. Uh, uh, First of all, I would like to request all of you to put your sound on mute mode, mic on mute mode. Um, After certain slides, I'll open question and answer, so you can put your questions in the chat box, which I can answer, so that we don't have to disturb other participants while uh, in the workshop. So yes, the first one, before we move, there is small note. Uh, this pictorial material used here are taken from various websites purely for academic and research purposes. There has been no intention of economic benefit out of it. There can be pictures, videos, slogans that may contain nudity, harsh language, or ideological implications. The participants are considered adult and academically open-minded for such realistic presentation of the material. After all, the material comes from real sources, which are also the representation of real life. Thank you, and happy learning to all of us. So let's begin. Uh, can we all know this particular symbol? Okay. Basically, it is an apple, half-bitten apple, but we see this symbol as a logo of a particular product, and that product is technologically advanced product, and not only that, the product is also associated with high prestige. So this simple logo has multiple meanings. Okay. And this kind of interpretation, this kind of understanding of the signs and the words that we are using, okay, is the basic content of the study of semiotics. Okay. So that is our concern here. What is semiotics? This is one of the major semioticians, Umberto Eco. He's also very famous as a novelist. So he defines semiotics very accurately: the discipline studying everything which can be used in order to lie. Because if something cannot be used to tell a lie, conversely, it cannot be used to tell the truth. It cannot in fact be used to tell at all. Okay. So the discipline that studies the symbols that we use to tell a lie is semiotics, because all those symbols are also equally important to tell anything. Even if we want to tell the truth, we have to use those symbols. Okay. And even if we want to lie, we have to use those symbols. Okay. So in this in this case, your signs are very important. So what is it? Semiotics is a study of signs. Okay. So here, what is a sign? So anything that stands for meaning, okay, that is the sign. Anything, whatever. Okay. It could be a picture, it could be a word, it could be facial expression. Everything is a sign. Okay. I'll have to start the recording. Record on this record to the, just a moment. So, suppose there are 40 participants. Close and share, remote control. Okay, there are 2 messages. Not audible? Do I have to start faster or louder? Am I audible now? Hello?
Yes,
Am
sir.
I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, yeah, thank you. So here, what is a sign? Okay, because semiotic studies signs, so whatever is meaningful, whatever gives some meaning is a sign. So in this language, our words, they stand for concepts, they are signs. In our life there are logos that stand for prestige, that stand for quality. Like we believe that, oh, Woodland shoes will be very good, they are very good in quality. So this is the Woodland, the name stands for quality. Okay, in our society we do a lot of rituals, okay, which stand for some religious practices, some traditions. if you don't if you don't follow those rituals, people will consider us, let's say, untraditional. Okay, so all those things that we do, okay, like when we meet someone and we say how are you, that is also a sign, because by saying how are you, we are trying to convey the message that we care, we know that person, and uh, we are trying to maintain our relationship. uh, Dr. Kirandeep Kaur is unable to hear. uh, could you please rejoin, because everybody else is able to hear, so probably there is some rework and it will work. Okay, so here there are two more logos I'm using. The first is for Phantom. This is the logo of the production house called Phantom Films. This is production house run by Anurag Kashyap. So their ideology is that, like Phantom, they also get from the rich class and they provide it to the poor class. So in terms of good content. Okay. So that's why their ideology with this is associated. So the fur, there was a sound if you watch this in cinema. They write fur and they say fur for Phantom. So this is a sign of quality cinema. If you see this particular logo before the beginning of the movie, then you expect that there must be something unusual in the movie. Okay, uh, something very important. uh, can other people listen to me? Dr. Kirandip is unable to listen to me. uh,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We are listening.
so there's some issue
It
with
is
the audio.
audible.
There is a possibility that the network is unstable. uh, the third one, the logo here is Times of India. Times of India, as we all know, it's a newspaper, and the logo exhibits two elephants, and there is this particular line, the "let truth prevail," which is the primary role of any form of media, that they should bring truth to the people. Okay, so that is the role of the media houses. Now there are two elephants which signify the royalty. At the same time, elephants are also symbol of memory. It is believed that elephants have very powerful memory, and this is what the newspapers also do. They document the things happening around us, and they develop the. We try to communicate. We try to express ourselves with the help of these logos. They could be linguistic logos like language. They could be pictures. They could be sounds. They could be expressions. Okay, so all these types of signs are studied in semiotics. Now how does it start? So semiotics uh, was actually started by Hippocrates somewhere in uh, BC era. Okay, this is Hippocrates. Uh, his time is 460 to 377 BC. That is before Christ, not before Corona. Okay, so he is the founder of Western medical science, and he first used the word semiotics in this spelling. Okay, in Greek, which is the study of symptoms. He was a medical scientist, so he was concerned about the symptoms of illness. Okay, that there are certain symptoms, that means there is this illness. So a semeion, the term that they have used, is a mark or a sign. Okay, anything that implies about something. that stands for something other than itself. Okay. Now, this was Hippocrates, but after him, it was Plato who took up this challenge. How things stand for other things became the prerogative of philosophers around the time of Plato. Okay. He suggested that signs were deceptive things because they did not stand for reality, but as idealized mental approximation of it. If we remember, when Plato talked about banishing the poets, he said that poets, whatever poets are doing, is the imitation of an imitation. It is not real. So the same idea is applied here. He said that signs are deceptive. They don't stand for reality. They stand for our concepts, our mental images. Okay. It doesn't go into the reality. Okay. So this is where the actual discussion about the science started. But actual semiotic as a field developed very, very late. That is somewhere in 1913. Okay. It was Ferdinand de Saussure who first started talking about semiotics, but he used a different word because he was doing it in French. So here we have Ferdinand de Saussure. This is his name, Ferdinand de Saussure, and he used the term semiology, not semiotics. Now, Saussure was teaching in Geneva. He was teaching philology, Sanskrit, and linguistics. But he thought that these theories of teaching language, philology, and interpretation is outdated because in that theory you only talk about past. You don't talk about what is happening right now. And that is why what he did is he developed his own theory of looking at the sign. He gave his idea of the sign. This is his concept of the sign, that there are two parts. There is the signifier, there is the signified. Okay. We will discuss the sign later. The other person was this. He is called Charles Sanders Peirce. He was philosopher, logician, and mathematician. And he was working in America. And he used the word semiotics, which we follow today. Okay. Now, Peirce and Saussure, both of them were working almost on the same time duration, but they never met each other. They did not know that someone in France is working this way or someone in America is working this way. Their theories are completely independent from each other, and that's why we will see that there is a lot of what do you call overlapping in their theories also. So his idea of sign is this. He says that there are three parts in a sign. There is a representament, there is an object, and there is an interpretant. Together, these three will make a sign. We will discuss both these types of signs later in the chapter. So now what happens? Saussure says that sign cannot come independently. Any form of sign has to come in a system. Okay, so there is a system of signs. So in order to understand and interpret the right meaning of the sign, we will have to understand the system. Okay, so this is what he calls structuralist semiology or structuralist linguistics, or some people call it Saussurean semiology. What is important here is Saussure makes the distinction between langue and parole. Both are French word. Okay. Here, langue is the system of language. Okay. That whatever language we use, there are certain rules. There are certain rules of the grammar. There are some words. There are certain rules of using the language. Okay. So all those rules are called the system of language. They are the langue. Well, there is a parole, which is the example of individual states. For example, I know English language. So I have certain rules, regulations, words in my mind of English language. So that is the langue. But when I speak English language, that is a particular sentence, that is a particular dialogue utterance, that is the parole. of the English language. Okay. So parole is different. That is the real thing. But Saussure says we need to understand the underlying system. That is, if we want to comprehend everything very well, especially the system and the rules, then we will have to understand the lang. But our data will come from parole. For example, in English, we have a rule that their subject will come before the verb and object will come after the verb. So this rule is part of the lang. But when you say, give me a cup of coffee, you are breaking that rule because there is no subject. It is a parole. So if you are breaking that rule and still the sentence is grammatical, then you will have to explain how come it is grammatical. Okay. So this is what Saussure also said, that if you want to understand how language works, you will have to understand the entire system. Now all the words we are using, all the signs, they are the system of lang. They are part of the system. So language system is social. Everybody is equally involved in creating the system, in using the system. So it is a social thing. But on the other hand, the performance, that is parole, is individual. Okay. So I know rules, that is my lang, that is my competence. But how I use those rules and words, that is my performance, that is my parole. So in this cartoon, this person has a lot of degrees and diplomas, so he has a lot of competences. But when it comes to actual execution of the knowledge, he is incompetent. Okay, so this is where he is talking about the difference. Your competences, your underlying rules are your lang, your system, and what you actually do is your parole. Okay. It's like uh, driving. If you want to learn driving, if you learn all the rules of driving, okay, like you buy a guide of driving and you learn all the rules, you mug up all the rules, will you be able to drive? The rules are there in your mind, but it is a system. In order to execute those rules, you will have to practice, you will have to use it. That is the parole. So this is, if we all have different rules, we cannot understand each other. Then parole is individual. That is, my style of speaking, my knowledge of the language will be different from your knowledge of the language. You may be more competent than me. Okay, so this difference is the parole. How a particular person make use of the rules which he has in his mind is important here. Okay. So how Saussure semiology proceeds? So here his sign, the concept of sign is there. So there are two parts. If you can see, there's a signifier. Signifier stands for the vehicle. Okay, that is Saussure's theory of sign, which developed in France, says the sign is made up of a signifier and signified. The signifier is the concept. No, sorry, this is written wrong. The signifier is the vehicle and the signified is the concept. Okay. The relationship between the signifier and the signified is arbitrary. Now we need to understand this thing. Okay. Signifier is, let's say we use a word. Let's say I am using the word dog. So dog, there are three sounds, da, o, g. Sound refer to a concept, that is an animal. Okay. So in that case, that concept is there. The moment I speak dog, that concept will be retrieved in our mind. Okay. If you are listening to me and I use dog, that will retrieved in your mind. Okay. Or if we are writing, let's say we write dog, dog. So those letters together are the vehicle, that is the signifier, and with those letters we convey a meaning, that is our concept, the signified. Now what is interesting is Saussure says the relationship between the signifier and signified is arbitrary. Okay. That is, the relationship is not narrated conventionally. That is, the society, the conventions of the society decide which sign means what. Okay. Fine. So that convention is developed. Like when we take birth in a particular society. The society already has a language. The society already has the rules of using that language. The society already has the rules for the communication. Those rules might change over the period, but the pre-existing rules are there. Okay, so those are the conventional rules. So we accept those conventions by learning the language. Fine. So this is how we learn the language. It is conventionally developed. So same signified may mean different things in different languages. For example, same concept. Similarly, in Spanish, arbol is the word for tree. Or even in Gujarati, we say vruksh or jad, which is the signifier for the signified tree. So in different languages, there are different words. That means there is no natural connection. Otherwise, you must have the same word. So this is the basic idea of system, that system is socially generated and it is conventional. And as all the conventions change, this system will also change. The language will change. Okay. The same signified tree has different signifiers across the language proves the point. I give you one more example. In our languages, in most of our languages, the word dog is used as an abusive word. If I tell you you are a dog, okay, I am basically insulting you. It means that I am assigning the characteristics of an animal on you. Okay, so basically it is abusive word, and almost all languages have that. We say in Gujarati, in Hindi, it is used as an abusive word. Now this is an animal. It has a particular meaning. It has a particular object, but in a particular context, it becomes abusive. But on the other hand, there is another animal, let's say tiger. Okay. And if I tell it is bird, but conventionally, tiger is considered a superior animal. Stands for power. It stands for courage. So if I call you tiger, I am basically complimenting you. I am praising you. So this is how conventions develop. They may be different across the languages, but all the languages have, all the societies have, all the cultures have conventions. And the science system, the semiology is based in that particular uh, conventional system. Okay. I'll give you a few more examples. When we are using signs, they don't come in vacuum. Okay. They are related. Okay. Every sign has some other relationship with other signs. So Saussure says that this relationship can be divided into two types. First type is called syntagmatic relationship or horizontal axis. Okay. This type is called something like say A and B and C and D. So this relationship is the relationship of conjunction. Standards photographed is the verb. In English syntagmatic axis, the noun phrase, that is the subject, precedes the verb and the object follows the verb. So it follows this particular syntagmatic order. Now there is the careful astronomer. Astronomer is a noun, careful is adjective, the is article. Now there is a rule in English that careful, that is adjective, can precede the noun. An article can precede noun as well as adjective. You cannot change this order. I cannot say careful the astronomer, or I cannot say astronomer the careful, because I am breaking the order, syntagmatic order. Their relationship is broken. Okay. So now the second type of relationship is called paradigmatic relationship or vertical axis. Here the relationship is option, that is A or B or C or. So you have to select. Okay. So here you have selected careful as an adjective, but instead of careful you can select diligent also. You can say the diligent astronomer. It is a correct sentence. You can also use attentive. You can say the attentive astronomer. It is acceptable. So as long as we follow the interrelationship of the signs, we are following the system of the particular language. Okay, and it is applicable not only to the language in the sentence structure, it is also applicable to the pictures, it is also applicable to the uh, sounds, it is also applicable to the films. Okay, like in film or in novel, we have an order that there has to be a hero, there has to be a villain, there has to be a particular goal that hero wants to achieve. So this is narrative options you have. Okay, but in case of uh, like any, yes, I'm explaining and I'll give you example as well, don't worry. Okay, uh, mm, yes, Sakshi and and paradigmatic access is one or two or three or four, so you can select only one, not all of them. Okay, so that is the relationship of uh, opposition, that where one comes the other cannot come, something is black cannot be white, so that is paradigmatic. Okay, but at the same time, if something, let's say, mm, if there is a verb, then verb will have an object in the standard transitive sentence, so that is syntagmatic. If you don't put the object, your sentence will be incomplete. I give you one visual example. Mhm. Yes, I'll be giving you PPT and few other reading material as well. Okay, so the example here is uh, when we want to say every morning we wear clothes. So what kind of decision we make when wearing a cloth? Okay, what is our first goal? That why are we wearing the clothes? Where I am going? Let's say I'm going to my office, I'm going to my university. So the requirement is I'll be wearing a formal clothes. Okay. So that is my paradigmatic choice. There are choices that formal, informal, semi-formal, casual. These are the choices available of wearing clothes. Okay, so this is paradigmatic choice. Now I have decided I'm going to the office, I will be wearing formal clothes. So within formal clothes, I have syntagmatic choices. Let's say I'll be wearing formal shirt, then corresponding to that formal shirt, I'll be wearing formal pants, I'll be wearing formal shoes, I'll be wearing a tie. Okay. So these are the syntagmatic choices, that if you are wearing a shirt of white color, then with that you should be wearing a pants of black or blue color. So that is syntagmatically associated. If I am wearing a white shirt, then my tie should be of some color. Okay. If I'm wearing a brown belt, then my shoes should be brown. So these are the choices that is available to us every day. We make all these choices and we go for dinner, okay, or for some meal. Okay, so again there is, say, are you taking Chinese food, are you taking Gujarati food, are you taking Punjabi food? These are all different choices. Now if you are selecting Punjabi, then what is in Punjabi? Are you taking paratha or chapati? Are you taking paneer or kaju? Okay, are you taking veg or non-veg? These are the syntagmatic choices. Okay, so I'll give you examples. Every day when we select an attire to wear, we make conscious syntagmatic and paradigmatic choices. This is the example here. See, is a modern young woman and she wants to attend a particular event, and she has all these possible choices. What will she do? Okay. What will she select? So that will be, yes, paradigmatic relationship is about opposition. And syntagmatic relationship about what? Syntagmatic relationship is about conjunction, A and B and C. Sentence structure is syntagmatic and it is according to the grammar of a particular language, and the choices that we are making of words or signs, that is our paradigmatic choices. So in different systems you have different signs, like in the system of clothes Your clothes are your signs. Okay. So this girl may select that a formal attire. She is going to a meeting in an office, so she'll wears everything formal. Okay. If she is going to her friend's marriage, she will be wearing something traditional. Or she is going to a party, she'll be wearing something uh, that is party wear, like there could be jeans and t-shirt or some other types of party wears which are acceptable. Okay, there in party she may not go in sari, but in marriage she all every time when we do that thing. Picture is an example of one such choice is available to young women. See, all these choices are available. What kind of footwear she is wearing, what kind of let's say she is wearing, or skirt, top, or kurta, or tie, or some necklace, or purse. Okay, so all these choices are available, and as an individual, you have to decide as per very important. Okay, so there is one more here. The same thing. Her selection of a particular order is directly governed by the purpose for which she is preparing herself. Her selection also depends on how she wants to represent herself. If she wants to represent herself as a traditional woman, she will select that kind of clothes. If she wants to represent herself as a modern woman, she will select that kind of clothes. If she is going to a meeting and she wants to represent herself as someone bossy, someone powerful and formal, professional, she will select that kind of clothes. Okay, and many a times we break rules deliberately. Okay, like we are going to the office, maybe it's a weekend, we are going Saturdays, students are not coming, so we go in jeans and t-shirt, which is not a formal clothes, but because we know that it's not an important day, students won't be there, so you can break the rule for a while. Okay, so we know the rules and that's why we are breaking them. Okay, it is process. So Sassur's interpretation, I'm giving you the definitions now. So all the compositions that we are using, they are dependent on, they are either syntagmatic or paradigmatic. So this refers to the fact that signs are put together in some consistent way. So syntagmatic is consistency. Okay, that when we talk about A, we always ABC. Okay, but when we are talking about ka, we go with ka, kha, ga. Okay, so this is the consistency that we are syntactically connecting them. While oppositionally that all the signs are meaningful in the system of signs. That a dog is a dog because it is not a donkey, and because it is not a tiger or a goat. It is different from them conceptually as well as in terms of signifying system. Okay, so we can readily identify, no, this is a dog. Okay, so as long as that dog is different from other animals, we can identify it. I give you a very simple example. If we have children in our house, young children, 2 years 3 years age, they have dolls, different types of dolls. So for us they are all dolls, they are not different. Okay, we call them dolls, but most of the children give names to their dolls. Okay, they have teddy bears and Cinderella and all, so they give them names and they differentiate them based on those names. I have, my kid is 3 years old, he has different types of cars, so they are all cars for me, or they are all cars for his mother, but for him there is a car for the police, there is a car for him, there is a car for me. So he has assigned the names to the cars and he will differentiate that way. Okay, so that is happening in paradigmatic choices, that you differentiate and you can readily identify based on that differentiation. So when signs are spread out in a sequence over time or have an order in their spatial arrangement, like when you speak, The sequence is in time, comes before, something comes after, or something special arrangement. Let's say picture, something is on top, something is on the bottom, something is in the middle. Okay, so that is spatial arrangement. The order is obviously important. Where do you put it is important. This horizontal movement is called syntagmatic. How you have put it in horizon, that is syntagmatic aspect. Each linguistic sign in the syntagm could also be replaced by another sign. Okay. In the syntagm could also be replaced by another sign which is related to it, having perhaps the same grammatic function. You can replace an adjective with another adjective. You can replace noun with another noun. Okay. A similar sound or relating to a similar signified. It can be synonymous. These sets of related signs are called paradigms, when you can replace, that is the talk here going on between these two ladies, and there are four different pictures. One on the top, who is washing, then the centralized picture, that is the picture of the product. Then there is a picture that talks about the after effects of washing, that once you wash the clothes, you put them to dry, and at the time these women are talking about the product, and in the end there is a reminder. They say, remember, Tide gets clothes cleaner than any other wash day product you can buy. So there is an order. Okay. This statement is, girl is wearing apron, and there is a lot of white color, there is blue color. So red, orange, and blue, only three colors are used. And the tagline, Tides got what women want. Now what women want? Okay, like there has been discussion about that, there is literature, there are films, what women want. Now they are giving answer that our product is the answer. Okay, every woman wants a Tide, the washing machine or washing powder. Okay, and at the same time they are using the posture of the women in a way which is used for women empowerment. Okay, if you search the women empowerment pictures, you will find this kind of picture. Another thing is, this woman is fair. Okay, she is young, she is modern. Okay, her hairstyle shows that she is modern. She is wearing a particular type of clothes. Okay, so modernity is shown by this. And when they are using, like she is hugging the product, that, and there are these hearts above it, that means she is loving the product. Okay, and then they are talking about the importance of the products here. They are reminding us something here. Okay, so all these things are different signs put together, composed together. Now if I ask you paradigmatically, why did not they use a child, a female girl, for example, a girl is there, what meaning it will create? Okay, there is no housewife but a girl, a school going girl, instead of this housewife. Or instead of this housewife, they use an elderly person, an old woman. Will it have the same meaning that they want to convey? So these choices that we are making, that there is a modern adult women selected for this advertisement. Okay, so that is a paradigmatic choice. Instead of that, if you use men, that is also a paradigmatic choice. But this advertisement has selected this particular thing, which also imply that in a house, cleaning your clothes is the responsibility of the women. Okay, so they go by this conventional idea. Okay, there is some chat. Yeah, why not man is used? Okay, because primarily this is a patriarchal society. They think man think that this is not our work. Okay, and this is 70 years old advertisement. Okay, so paradigmatically they are using the norm of the society. At the same time, they are reinforcing the norm on the society, that this is the job of the women. Okay, only women will have to wash the clothes. Okay, And that's why they say what women want. Okay, they don't say what human want or what man want. Okay, fine. So these paradigmatic choices are ideological. They are significant. We will discuss about it when we look at the advertisements. Okay, next slide. See, this is a slide. This is the concept of the sign proposed by Peirce, C.S. Peirce or Charles Sanders Peirce. So there are three parts. In Saussure's case, there were two parts, signified and signified. Peirce talks about three parts. One more thing is added, that is object. When Saussure says there is a signifier and signified, he says both these things are mental. They are in the mind of the user. Okay. The concept and the vehicle are there in the mind. While Peirce says the interpreter or interpretant and the representamen are mental, while object is physical. Okay, object exists in real world. So this one more thing is added by Peirce. So this is called Peirce's semiotic model or Peirce's sign, Peirce's model of sign or Peirce's triadic model of sign. Okay, and normally we use the Peircean term semiotics. Okay, so here what Peirce is saying is there is an object, there is an interpretant, and there is a representamen. They together make a sign, and there is a process going on of interpreting the sign. So here, representamen is something that does the representing. Okay, so this is a representamen, this is the representing. We write the word tree or we speak the word tree, that is the representation, representamen. Okay, the word that we speak or write, then referring to the some object, whatever the representamen calls attention to, the actual object. So here the object for us is the tree. Okay, because the word that we are using is associated with this particular object. And the third point is interpretant, eliciting a meaning, developing a concept is called interpretant. Whatever it means to someone in some context. Now here, this is very important thing, context. Okay, Saussure never talked about context. Saussure talked about the relationship. So how context affects, for example, I'm talking about tree. So my understanding of tree could be something uh, that we see in the jungle. Okay, so something natural, what we see in the object. But there is something like family tree also. So if historians are talking about your family, for them the tree might mean family tree. Similarly, there is something related with the language tree. Okay, that there are different associated languages, language family. Plus, in semiotics and in syntax, we talk about the sentence tree. That is, we make the rules by drawing the tree in the sentence. We segregate that this is a noun, there's a branch of noun, there's a branch of verb. So for syntactician, the tree may refer to that particular syntactic tree. So in the context, tree has a different meaning, which is very important for us to understand. The relations among the three dimensions is not static, but dynamic. It may change, whereby one suggests the other in a cyclical manner. I'll give you one more example. See, this is a chair. Okay. Now, when I say chair, this specific chair does not come to our mind. Though we understand that I'm talking about a chair, but the chair in my mind may be different from the chair in your mind because you are a different interpreter. You have a different experience of the world. But at the same time, if we say, I will chair the meeting, in this case, the chair word has a very different meaning. It means that I will conduct the meeting. Similarly, there can be a chair of an institution or of a department. Okay, so someone who takes care of the different activities going on in the department and who is a decision maker. Then there was a kind of punishment in the past. The criminal used to be electrocuted on the chair. Okay, he will die. He would be given uh, electric shock till he died. So that was called condemned to chair. Okay, fine. Now we are all creative people. We don't use language like we have got it in the dictionary. We always create new meanings. Suppose I don't want to become the head of the department, but by force I was made the head of the department. Okay, so I can say that I am condemned to chair. Okay, that it is a punishment for me. How okay, we use the word chair in so many different understandings, so many different metaphorical meanings. Okay. And this is where the process of interpretation becomes important. So that is why uh, Peirce talks about one very important concept called semiosis. If you see the circle here, it is called semiosis. It is basically somewhere related with encoding and decoding, but in this case what they are concerned is what is there in the mind. Interpretation is based on the decoding. So semiotic codes we use, that is there is a system of science which makes a code. So if you understand that code, you can decode the science. Okay, so yes, semiotic interpretation is also a type of decoding. Okay, one more example I'll be giving. Semiosis or sign process is any form of activity, conduct, or process that involves signs. Okay, wherever sign is involved and there is a meaning making, it is semiosis. But in modern semiotics, Umberto Eco, whose photographs I showed in the beginning, he developed another term from that. We call it unlimited semiosis. That is, the meaning making process is continuous even within the same utterance. Okay, it implies a chain of interpretation associated in comprehending a sign. So you don't just make one comprehension. Okay, there will be chain of comprehensions because each signified can lead to a new signifier. For example, checking a word in a dictionary. Okay, I'll give you one example here. Say there is a word posthumous. You don't know the meaning of posthumous. Okay, so you check the dictionary. Okay, so it defines the word in so many different ways. It gives a lot of different synonyms. But the most important part is you will have to understand the signifier post. Something comes after, that is called posthumous. Okay, so if you don't understand this signifier, these signifiers are incomprehensible. So there will be chain of understanding of different signifiers. Okay, and this is what Eco calls unlimited semiosis. There is one more example. What is the opposite of annotated? Okay, something that is very clearly explained is called annotated. So it's opposite. So if you know the complete meaning of annotated, then you can give the correct opposite. So if you know the relationship between signified and signified well, you can develop the opposition. Okay, so that process of making meaning, identifying more signs to make those meanings is continuous one. And that is why Eco calls is unlimited semiosis. It goes on and on and on. Okay, so Derrida once says that we need to interpret interpretations more than we interpret things. So this is where the unlimited semiosis comes. Interpretations are very, very important. Okay. So going further, uh, Peirce proposes many types, modes of science. Okay. In fact, throughout his life, Peirce wrote around 6,000 pages. Okay. And in his life, he created 66 types of different signs. But in modern semiotics, we have taken total 7 concepts from Peirce's ideas of semiotics. So 7 concepts, 4 we have already seen. Okay, semiosis, representamen, interpretant, object. So we have seen 4. The 3 are the types of signs. The first type is iconic sign. If you remember, Saussure says that the relationship between signifier and signified is arbitrary. There is no natural connection. Okay, like what Shakespeare said that if you call rose by any other name, it will still remain equally beautiful and smelly. Okay. So name is unnatural. Okay, but Peirce says that there are kinds of signs where signifier and signified are naturally connected. That by looking at the sign, you understand the meaning. Okay, suppose there is some language and I put a word in front of you from that language and you don't know that language, then you will not understand because in language those words are conventionally decided. But there are iconic signs where even if you haven't seen that sign or word before, you can identify it. Okay, so such signs are called iconic sign. This is an example of iconic sign. Everybody can identify that this is a sign of washroom. Okay, so that iconicity is there. By looking at the sign, you will realize that there must be washroom somewhere near. Okay, okay. So this is what we call iconicity. The signifier, that is the this particular picture, and signified, that is the meaning that there is a washroom. These two things are naturally connected in our mind. Okay. The other type of sign is called indexical sign. Indexical signs have a concrete and often causal relationship to their signified. Causal in the sense, okay, there is a cause and the result. For example, if you see a smoke, then you can interpret logically that there is a fire. Okay. So there is a causal relationship between smoke and fire. Okay, so such sign is called indexical sign. I'll give you one example. See, there is this boy who is smoking, and the death itself is lighting the cigarette for the boy. And the death is saying, "You are welcome, son." Okay. So indexical it means that if you are smoking, you are inviting the death. Okay. So this is the causal relationship. Like we see on cigarette packets, there are pictures of the cancer patients. Okay. To make the people realize that this kind of smoking or tobacco chewing will cause cancer. Okay. So that is what we call indexical sign. The third type of sign is symbolic sign. Now, symbolic sign is what Saussure talks about. Okay, that it is non-natural, it is arbitrary. There is no direct connection between the signifier and signified. They are conventional. Okay, so a symbol is a sign that stands for something in an arbitrary, conventional based way. Okay. For example, here, this is an example of a bird. We take it as a pigeon, and we take this particular picture as a symbol of peace because it is in white and there is a picture of the pigeon. Okay, and pigeon is associated with peace. It is symbolic. Okay, there is no natural connection. Okay, there is no proof that pigeon is the peaceful bird. Okay, but we have accepted it, and that is why we see this particular picture as a symbol of peace. Now, what is interesting is most of the theorists say that these are the different types and all these are different. But what happens that a sign can be reinterpreted in all these three different ways. It is based on the interpreter. Okay. Like as we said in the previous slide, that the interpretation is based on the context and the interpreter. I give you one example. We can see this woman here. She was an actress. Her name is Flora Saini. So if you look at this picture, iconically, this picture is a signifier of Flora Saini, the actress. Okay, it is iconic. Okay, all our pictures are iconic signs. Okay, so this is our first interpretation and very simple interpretation. But like looking at this, and if you know that person, you will say, yeah, this is Flora Saini. But then if you look at carefully, there are bruises on her face. Okay, now the bruises means she was a patient of violence. Okay, she might have been beaten. Okay, so that is indexical sign. By looking at the bruises, okay, this is a kind of result of a cause, that is she was beaten. Okay, that was the cause. The bruises, the sign, is the result. So this relationship is called indexical. Okay, and this is the indexical interpretation of this sign. The third one, symbolic sign, that this is not just Flora Saini, but this Flora Saini is a representation of the Indian women who suffer the domestic violence. Flora Saini was beaten by her husband. Okay, and there was a news about it from which I have taken this picture. So symbolically, there are plenty of women in our country who are being beaten, who are being patient of domestic violence. So symbolically, it represents the condition of women in our society. Okay. So one single picture can be interpreted in multiple ways, and this is why some people say that iconic, indexical, and symbolic are not different signs. They are different modes of interpretation of the signs. Okay, fine. Is it making sense? I'll give you more examples here. See, there are a lot of examples. There are examples of iconic signs. You can see this is the icon of human. This is the icon of the direction. This is the icon of a bird. This is the icon of a weapon. Okay. So these are all different iconic symbols. Now there are symbols. Okay, like if you are confused, then you send this question mark to your friend that I haven't understood. So this becomes symbolic. Dollar is symbolic of currency. Then this star is symbol of religion, Judaism. This is the symbol of an NGO. Fine. So these are all symbolic, associated with some existing meaning, and we understand it. Okay, if someone sends you a question mark, we understand. Oh, this is confused. The person hasn't understood. Then here there are other signs, indexical signs. For example, in our traffic system, if we see red light, then it is dangerous to cross the index of heat. Okay, and then when we use thermometer, the reading of thermometer, the temperature is an indexical sign of whether the person is ill or not. Okay, so we use all these signs and we don't have any problem in interpreting them. Okay, then there are a few more signs, again the same Judaism symbol, the symbol of yin and yang, that there is black stands for the evil, white stands for the good, and the yin and yang implies that there is good in every evil and there is evil in every good. Okay. Then this is the icon of a cat. This painting can be interpreted in all the three different ways. Here index is that it says that there was some human being here. this is the index, and symbol is that that human being wanted to convey some message with this particular print, but because we were not present contextually, we don't know, so we cannot interpret that symbol. Then this is the symbol of male and female. This is the scientific medical symbol. Then stop is iconic sign, that is the red, and it is written stop. Okay, so you should not go further because it could be dangerous. Then your signature is your index. You sign something and approve, that means you have given the approval, you were present there and you know the rules, so that is your indexical sign. Your emojis are symbolic as well as indexical, the way you interpret and the way you present. Okay, there are exercises. Okay. I've put 5 pictures, and with every picture I have put a question. I have sent references that I have used to prepare this particular presentation. I'll be sending the presentation, don't worry. You can unmute yourself and you can ask me the question. We can discuss. We have around 20 minutes. Yeah. So I'm waiting for your questions. Thank you for all the nice comments. Um, Okay, you can unmute yourself and uh,
Hello.
ask question. Yes.